were leaving it all behind. For New York City, no less. Sunshine pierced the sky the day the restlessness began. It was a glorious day in August 3 years prior. Gabe had just finished giving an impassioned talk on engaging culture at Trinity Grace Church on Manhattan's Upper West Side. We left our kids with their grandparents in Atlanta for the weekend, freeing us to bask in the city's glow. Our lively party headed to Le Monde immediately following, where we huddled over poached eggs and waffles, listening to Pastor John Tyson cast a vision for us to join him. His rogue Australian accent marked with passion made him difficult to ignore. Though we had never considered living in New York, the city represented hallmark moments in our relationship. Our first kiss in front of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, and 18 months later, a fairy tale weekend when Gabe rented out the 102nd floor of the Empire State Building to ask me, on bended knee, to marry him. The Big Apple was a fantastical city of lights, but it became a place of celebration for us, far removed from laundry lists and grocery shopping and paying bills. The thought that the two worlds might collide sounded crazy. Good thing we were up for crazy. The day progressed with John tour guiding us on a walk through Central Park. He must make a commission from New York City's Department of Tourism. The amble led us past babbling waterfalls, laughing children jumping in water sprayers, and bridges that overlooked rowboats. If you had walked the span of Central Park in the summer, you too would have been sold by the time you bit into an organic Applegate Farms hot dog straight from the food cart. As we explored various pockets of the city that weekend, we found ourselves craving more. We were unconsciously falling in love with New York, resonating with the determination and vulnerability in the faces all around us. After the final church service that evening in Chelsea, Gabe leaned over late-night coffee and sheepishly asked if I would consider living in this place. His coy grin attempted to conceal his excitement, but the gleam in his eye gave him away. I knew as I answered that my exhilaration matched his. The following months in Atlanta led to countless hours surfing Street Easy and the New York Times real estate section for apartment rentals and obscenely priced townhomes. But we would not be deterred. We could survive on rice and beans if need be. As the anticipation grew, our silence gave way, and we confessed to our friends that we would move the following summer. We had not yet determined how to relocate Q Ideas, a nonprofit we'd founded 7 years prior. Our work focused on educating Christian leaders in creative ways to engage their industries and cities. Even if we could get over that hurdle, we would still have to sell our Atlanta home in a debilitating real estate market, a process that would take 2 years. Yet the call to New York had grown so strong in both our hearts that running from these obstacles was not an option. Restlessness continued to build. Some days I tried to blame the insanity of this leap on my husband, but I was also ready to jump. Something was tugging, pulling, screaming for me to make a dramatic alteration. A change that would mark the end of an era, an epoch of safety and security. I'd fought this moment for more than a year as I drove down the suburban highways and debated with myself, often out loud, looking for ways to rationalize the suppression of this urge for a change. In the end, I couldn't shake it. Something was calling, beckoning me into the unknown. I sensed life growing shorter by the minute, and I didn't want to live with regret. Funny thing about regret, it shows up only when you know you're supposed to do something and choose not to. So despite moments of kicking and screaming, I eventually surrendered. And once that decision was made, all the forces of Providence moved in the direction of New York. We figured out a way to transition our organization without ceasing operations, and our Atlanta home sold. Of course, we lost money on the sale, thanks to a flailing economy. But to quote Gabe, what's money when the other option is to put your life on hold? What began that night with friends at Barnsley Gardens as anticipation for this new adventure was overtaken by tears of pain. I wrestled in the moment with a sense of betrayal for leaving these dear ones behind. I was changing my fate, and I felt alone and uneasy, as if I were standing on the edge of the abyss of uncertainty. The tips of my toes hung over the cliff,